Hi, thank you all for being here, and thank you Rosenthal and Amy for making this possible. When we issued this call for papers for this special issue on digital media and democracy with my colleague Pablo Okoski, who had no idea what was going to happen. Would anybody submit any proposals at all? In the end, we had 31 proposals, and the top 3 were selected for publication in the journal. And they are by Magdalena Saldaña, Sharon Roberts, Matías Dodel, Federico Comesaña, and Daniel Blanc. That's right. And we thank them for sending their work. And Barbie Selliser kindly accepted to write an invited commentary also for this special issue of the journal. I should start here. Yes, one of the most important roles of journalism is holding the powerful accountable. Accountability refers to the ability of citizens to hold those in office accountable for their actions and to sanction them appropriately if they are not working in their best interest. These are only some famous examples of journalism enabling accountability. Watergate, Pentagon Papers, spotlights on sexual abuse by members of the clergy. In Latin America, watchdog journalism played an essential role during the democratization process of the 80s and 90s. These are also some examples. Corruption in Brazil during Collor de Mello's presidency, which led to his impeachment. Corruption in Argentina, which actually sold guns and weapons to Croatia and Ecuador, which shouldn't have done. But as democracy stabilized in the countries and income dwindled, revenues dwindled for the media, watchdog journalism became all but non-existent in online outlets. However, the 3 papers included in this special issue deal with instances of the media holding the powerful accountable during extraordinary circumstances and explore the limits to a journalism of accountability. Federico Comesaña, with Matías Dodel and Daniel Blanc, used big data to compare coverage of the budget bill in the Uruguayan parliament in 2017 and 2018. And they found that during 2018, when the Soccer World Cup was being played, coverage of government actions greatly diminished, significantly diminished. Of course, the Soccer World Cup is a very important event, and I'm Argentinian, I would know that, but it's not as important as the budget bill, right? Magdalena Saldaña looks at another instance of journalism holding the powerful accountable during extraordinary circumstances, the earthquake that hit Chile in 2014. And she finds that despite the President Bachelet's competent handling of the natural disaster and the low number of casualties, journalists still held her responsible. And this was due to ownership of the media and their ideological stance and market orientation. Of course, Uruguay and Chile are established democracies. In contrast, Sharon Roberts looks at a journalism of accountability in an authoritarian government, an authoritarian regime, Cuba. And she finds that digital platforms enable journalists in Cuba to enact investigative reporting in ways that they cannot do in state-run newspapers, such as Granma. El Estornudo is one of those platforms. So, why does accountability matter? And why should we still work to resist the creep of authoritarianism? What these papers show is that even in democratic countries, there are limits to journalism of accountability, and there's a role that journalists should play to hold those in power accountable. In many corners of the world, trust in journalism news is diminishing. Trust in institutions is diminishing. And that does not allow journalists and citizens to hold those in power accountable. So what is to be done? And I want to end this in a high note to give way to my colleagues. What journalists could do, and they should do, is convey not only institutional rationality and practice, but also emotions. Emotions are what drive people. People who don't trust institutions anymore also deserve a place at the table. They deserve to tell their stories. And in bringing different voices and opinions together, and different emotions as well as rational arguments together, journalists and news media will be able to tell the stories that deserve to be told, to hold those in power accountable. Thank you very much.